everybody. Welcome to the L-5 podcast. Thank you for joining us. We wanted to go ahead and give you another episode. Tonight, we want to talk about basically our top 5 and our bottom 5 movies that we have seen in 2020. These are going to be films that we've seen. It doesn't matter what year they came out, whether they came out in 2020 or before, but really just what we watched from home because we've seen a lot. What was that? What'd you do, Brian?
I was kind of doubting when you said movies.
Oh.
No, leave it exactly as you said it, Corey, because that was the assignment.
No, it was perfect. It was perfect.
I put up here. You see the number 5? That's what I see.
It was perfect. I'm being a little subversive. It's good.
If you guys don't mind, I'll go ahead and start this conversation. And I think we should all just start with our top 5, and then we'll go around and do our bottom 5. Are you guys okay with that?
Yeah.
And then any kind of honorable mentions that you want to throw in there, that's totally fine. I think this is going to be really interesting because I'm pretty sure all of our lists are going to be really diverse. Because we've all seen a lot of things. We haven't seen everything together. So this will be really interesting. So my top 5 movies of 2020 that have been released in any year, not necessarily in this order, not necessarily in this order 1 through 5. However, I will say my number 1 film for 2020 is a movie none of y'all have seen, I don't think. It's The Sound of Metal. It is an Amazon Prime original movie. I can't remember the main guy's name that stars in it, but it is a beautiful, beautiful story and really fantastic sound design, and a movie that will definitely make you develop patience and learn how to necessarily adapt to certain situations that you have no control over. It is a fantastic film. I highly recommend it to anyone to watch. It's on Amazon Prime right now. Go check that out. My next favorite film was The Last Blockbuster, which was a documentary about the last blockbuster in the entire world, which is in Bend, Oregon. I really loved this movie because it resonated with me and it was very relatable to me. I worked at Blockbuster for like 8 years. And so it's a very special place for me. And that's actually where I learned my passion, my true passion for film. And so this documentary just deals with everything about Blockbuster, and it made me feel every emotion that I could think of. I cried, I laughed, they were talking about the smell of Blockbuster, and I closed my eyes and I could smell it again. Like, I remember that smell like nobody's business. Okay, so The Last Blockbuster was fantastic. Palm Springs was my number 3 film. We all watched that. I thought that was a huge, huge surprise hit comedy that I did not expect to like as much as I did. I loved everything about that film. Band-Aid was my number 4. That was Dana's pick and something I had never heard of before. We watched that. I thought that was another surprise comedy. And we all know what I've said before 1,000 times. Comedy is very subjective. And this movie really hit the nail on the hammer. The hammer hit the nail on the head as being a fantastic comedy for me. And the last movie that I had on my list was Run, a Hulu original film about a mother who is overly protective and some other suspense thriller that goes on in this movie. Had me on the edge of my seat. Didn't know what was going to happen next. Very terrifying and very realistic in the fact that I'm pretty sure this situation has happened before, or I could totally believe it happening. So Run was my number 5 film. So that was my top 5 films of 2020.
2 of my movies were on your thing. I'll make it easier.
Okay.
So I agree. In my top 5, I also had Band-Aid and Run. I also had Enola Holmes. So if you haven't seen it, it's on Netflix, and it was actually very good. Snowpiercer. Now, I know Snowpiercer didn't come out this year, but it's a movie about class, and I really, really love it. Social class. And it was awesome. And I am talking about the movie and not the TV show because the show was horrible.
Oh,
The movie is great. And then the other thing that I put up here is The Perfection. If you have seen any of our Blumhouse Amazon reviews, this movie, The Perfection, is what Blumhouse should have been. So I'll just put that on out there. And it was a fantastic thriller, a little gore, not a lot, but that was a good movie. So like the movie we watched about the chicks, the two sisters and the piano, don't watch that.
Oh, Nocturne.
What was it called?
Nocturne.
Nocturne. Don't watch Nocturne. Watch The Perfection instead and thank me.
So my top 5. So yeah, like Corey said, all over the place. I had to look at all my list of movies, but these are the ones that stood out in different ways. First one is Justice League Dark Apocalypse, which I think is a counter to Avengers Endgame, but it was just as good. It was, if not better. And the reason I say that, for animated DC films, they are better than the actual live DC films that we've all seen. Some of us have seen a lot of them that have done bad. Wonder Woman 1984, but there's a lot of there's a lot in this film in Justice League Dark Apocalypse that I think I've not seen before. And then there's a lot of a whole bunch of characters, which DC, as you know, Justice League has a bunch of characters, but the way they did it, which they gave character development, obviously action because it's a Justice League film, and then it's short. It's like an hour and a half or something, but they pack so much into it. We don't need to be sitting here for 3 hours on our couch watching a movie. So to me, it got me in, got me out. Justice League Dark Apocalypse. Bad Boys for Life is another good one. It wasn't the best movie by far, but it was a good, I love Bad Boys 1 and then obviously Bad Boys 2. So this follow-up to it, I think, was pretty well done. There were a couple issues that we talked about in our L-5 group, but I felt that I could watch it again. I felt that it was one that I want to buy, and I did. So Bad Boys for Life was number 2. I put Black Box at number 3. I really enjoyed Felicia Rashad's character. My friend Donald's in it, as well as the main character, I think, did a very good job. But it really was one of those where it just stood out as one of those Blumhouse films. I think out of that group that we all saw, it was one that stuck out to me. So I put that on the top of my list. And so automatically I had to put it on my top 5 because I really enjoyed it and I would watch it again. The next movie is a Disney movie, which I put on our L5 list for suggestions, which is Safety. It's a Disney movie based on a Black male that grows up. He goes to Clemson. He's an athlete like I was. But the difference is this brother's life changed because of his parents. There's some, I got to take care of my little brother. I got to still do college. I still got to do well in life. And so I would love to watch it with us. But pretty much is one of those feel-good movies that I think is done very, very well. Not a lot of that cheesiness and kind of wackiness that I think some movies have with that feel-good, but it pairs the feel-good feeling with seriousness, with compassion, and that's what I like about it. The last one, visually, I think is one of the best movies I've ever seen, which is Tenet. Tenet was hella confusing to me because it had so many layers, but visually, it is one of the best movies I've ever seen. And I think it was one of those movies where replay value was instant because I wanted to see it again to connect some of those missing pieces, kind of like Inception. But it wasn't a bad movie. It wasn't a 5 by any sort, but that I think I gave it a 3.5 or a 4. I think I gave it a 4, but it had replay value, so I gave it a spot in my top 5. And then honorable mentions, Sonic the Hedgehog was up there too. I'm a Sonic fan, grew up on him, so that was my movie. Dana, wow. I know it's funny, but that little Sonic,
it actually was really good. It was actually really good.
It was really good, right?
Yeah.
And then I put Uncorked. Uncorked was another good one that's right up there in my top 5. I didn't really put it in my 5. And Project Power was at the bottom of my kind of like, it was okay, but I think for me, it was one of those like 3.5. So it didn't make my top list, but it was good. So those are my top 5.
I can't wait to see all those movies. I feel like no wonder I couldn't come up with so many because I didn't see any of those movies hardly.
But you saw a lot of different ones, and you like
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, so you
Yeah.
should have a good list.
Yeah.
Let's see how many of yours I know.
So here's my list. My list is a little bit different because I opened the threshold a little bit more beyond just movies, because one of the things that we've been talking about this year is TV shows, and what's really but what we're seeing a lot of are these really expanded movies where it's like you're giving everybody a lot of budget and time to do a really more detailed story that just cannot fit in 2 hours or 2.5 hours or yikes, 3-hour movies, right? And so a couple of shows actually ended up in my list. So one of those is called I Know This to Be True. Mark Ruffalo plays twins.
Oh,
and yeah, that I was not. I just started watching this because it was Mark Ruffalo. I'm like, okay, it's a limited series. Let me just go ahead and see this. And this short series is based on a novel, and where the one brother is taking care of his other brother who gets into some trouble, and it's just really, it's like so sad. It's super dramatic, but I think Mark Ruffalo did such a great job with the playing twins thing. One, because it wasn't just the straight up identical twin kind of role. He actually shot all of the sequences of one twin, and then they did all the split screen and green screen or whatever together, but they shot all of the second twin after they shot all the original stuff, because he had to go on and put on like 20 pounds. And he did it. And it's just, and that was, it made such a difference in these two characters. It was just really good. I liked it so much I went and started and read the book, which is just as dark and sad. But good, right? So anyway, so that made it to my list. The other show that made it to my list was Queen's Gambit. So the Netflix series about the woman who plays chess, and it becomes an international sensation about playing chess, and it was just beautiful. It was just so. Those are two shows that made it to my list. I think are really worth seeing. The other film that's kind of different that's on my list, Hamilton. Hamilton came out this summer. It was a 5-star. I've been listening to it for so long, never got tickets. We actually, it's touring. We actually got tickets to go see it in Atlanta on the tour, but it got postponed. And then they finally, just put this out. It was so worth it. It was great film of a Broadway show. So I think it was, great film. Palm Springs is on my list. Very highly rated comedy. Love that. That was a very good surprise. The basic time loop type of story where you're stuck in this loop until you can figure out how to get out of it, kind of thing. Like oh my God, Groundhog Day. Yeah, Groundhog Day moment. So the last on the top, the last two on my top 5, which makes it 6, but are
Y'all some cheating people.
All right, you already cheated.
Go ahead, you and Jeremy.
What?
Go ahead. Just go ahead.
I'm not going to give 5 bad movies, so we'll take it back from the other end. So
how can you not give 5 bad movies? There were plenty.
I didn't want to give it enough attention.
Okay.
So the last two is The Invisible Man. I thought that was a really compelling drama, and had a lot of good twists. So that was a highly rated list. I was actually surprised I rated it a 5 after the fact, and looking at your face, like, Invisible Man. But I thought that it was there. It was on my list. Okay. But for the last film, It's another different one. It's a concert film. David Byrne's American Utopia. Another filmed performance.
Like a documentary kind of.
I would say it's still just the film performance. Spike Lee directed it, but it was just beautifully shot. But so much of the way that it's shot, I think, is really just dictated by how they set up the stage and the choreography. That what they do some super unique things in this concert film, where all of the people in the band are wearing their instruments. They're very mobile. They're all over the place. It's not just, a drum set in the middle of the stage and everybody's, orbits the drum set. Everybody is all over the place. And the lighting and the movement and the choreography of everything. I can't imagine having that much energy to sustain that for 2 hours and play and sing. But there you go. People do it every day.
I had heard of that film, and I remember I'll put it on my list to watch, but I thought it was like a documentary, but I understand what you're saying. 2 things. One, you cheated. Because we weren't supposed to be adding TV shows, and if we were,
because I would have had a whole
Lovecraft would have been number 1 for everything. Okay.
Well, I will tell you, it's Letterbox cheats. Letterbox.com cheats because you're rating some TV shows are all over this list.
Oh, I didn't know
TV shows are in there. It's because they're on Letterboxd.
Oh, I didn't know they were on Letterbox. Well, anyways,
that's not an excuse because you still knew it wasn't a movie. So that's all right.
I think I justified it because these were shows that were very movie-like, and the 2 that I picked were limited run. They're not going to be a season 2 or 3 and 4.
Well, we don't know that Lovecraft is going to be a season 2 or 3, and that was very movie-like too. So.
Yeah, it's okay, Brian.
Mm-mm.
It's fine. It's fine, Brian. It's fine. I was just gonna say a couple of honorable mentions, and
see, that's not fair. If I was honorable mentions, then my list would have been way longer than 5. You said 5. I narrowed it down.
But Corey said you can add in any honorable mentions that you want.
I'm not putting this in my top 5. I just wanted to mention something.
This 5-hour podcast. Go ahead.
All I was gonna say, honorable mention, was what you said was Perfection, Bad Boys for Life. I actually watched 2 movies that are old as crap for the first time this year that would have made my top 5. They actually made it in my top 10, which was Goodfellas and Lethal Weapon. I had never seen either one of these movies, and I both gave them 4.5 or 5 stars. That's it. Period. All right.
I have one that's on that list too. Old movies that I saw this year for the first time. I'd never seen Saving Mr. Banks. It's not as old as that. What? That was part of the assignment.
Saving Mr. Banks?
Saving Mr. Banks. Walt Disney meets the author of Mary Poppins.
That was a
great
movie.
Yes. Sorry.
All right. So let's
let me mention some honorable mentions.
Go. Do it.
Encore, Black is King, Birds of Prey,
Wait.
I'm joking. I'm lying. I'm just reading the list.
Isn't that the wrong list?
I said Birds of Prey.
No.
That can't be the honorable mention.
All right, so let's do our top 5. I'm not going to put the honorable mentions up here. I will just do top 5, okay?
Bottom 5.
Bottom 5. Sorry, thank you. Yeah, because these are definitely bottom 5, all right? Bottom 5, Eurovision. That's all I have to say. Eurovision on Netflix. Terrible. Cats. Terrible.
That was this year?
No.
Oh.
It was last year.
Okay.
But I just saw it this year. Antebellum. Terrible. Yes, God, yes. Terrible. And for the first time, Wait. Oh, Time Freak. Terrible.
Oh.
You're the only one who finished it.
I'm the only one that finished it. That's right.
There were a couple of movies that we only did 17-minute reviews on. I'm like, why isn't that on my list? It's like, oh yeah, I never watched the whole thing.
Exactly.
And I know this might or might not be on Corey's honorable bottom, but Vivarium, whatever, I remember.
Oh, Vivarium.
My guy hated that movie.
That was an awful movie.
So I will go ahead and piggyback off Corey's. Since you said Vivarium, I will go ahead and say that's on my list. Like, I did watch that entire movie and I had such big hopes for it. And it was probably the most draining movie I watched this entire year. It was really that bad. So also Your Vision with Corey. Now, I would say this is the most draining, except the last maybe 30 minutes of it, we just walked out. Like, we just gave up on it, but we saw enough of it that I'm counting it because I wasted over an hour of my life watching this movie. It was straight trash. It was like, it wasn't funny. It was taking a culture, picking on it really hard, and some crazy singing and stuff. It was just bad. I can't even believe. No. Anyway, so the next one is Evil Eye. If y'all saw our review, you know why I didn't like it. Again, a movie that had potential, but just didn't make any sense. Like, Wonder Woman 1984. Again,
wow.
You saw my review for it. And here's the reason why I had to put it up here. Because I really thought about this is, and Corey knows this, at one point I was like, oh my gosh, is this movie going to end yet? Like, I would, if we were at home, I probably would just walked out of the room. And I feel like any movie that I would walk out on has to be a movie that is on my bad list. So that is why I would have walked out on Wonder Woman. It was that bad. And then the final movie, I don't know who saw this of this group, but it's called Black Hair, and it's on Hulu. I can't even describe to you. You know, if you watch stuff and it embarrasses you, even though you had nothing to do with it, and it makes you cringe, but I didn't write it and I wasn't in it. That is how that movie made me feel. It's basically a horror movie about weaves. I'm not going to say anymore. Check it out if you're interested.
Yeah, I saw the trailer for that and I'm like, oh, wow, that is not what I was expecting at all.
No. And in the beginning, there were some little parts, and I was like, ooh, because it was a little scary at the beginning. Like, I'll just tell you this little bit about where the woman is getting her weave sewn in, and anybody who's ever got a weave sewn in, so I know all y'all can relate. Yeah. Anyway, when they put the braids in there and they go to sew the track in, they're supposed to put the needles through the braid. Well, in this, they were putting the needle through the woman's scalp and it was bleeding. It was disgusting. It was definitely cringeworthy, but the rest of the movie was awful.
There's a small part of me who's still intrigued and wants to see that movie.
By all means, help yourself. But you've been warned.
Do you think it'll be like just a train wreck, like Attack of the Killer Tomatoes kind of horror? Just so bad that it ridiculous.
So it is that bad. Like in terms of like the quality of the it's that bad. The special effects are that bad. It is horrible. It's very campy. It's trash. I couldn't believe the people who were in it though. Like Vanessa Williams.
Who's in it, Dana? Are there any main?
Yeah, like Vanessa Williams is the first person who comes to mind because I was like, girl, you could do better than this. And she's the main character. And I'm just like, so you'll see Blair Underwood is it. There are plenty of people that you'll recognize in it. And I'm just like, did y'all follow hard COVID times? Because why are y'all doing this? Like somebody had a friend and they were doing favors.
Yeah.
Because it was bad.
Yeah. Well, I've got 3 movies to avoid. One of them is Birds of Prey. We heard that from the your other list. The other one is Nocturne. We've heard about that one tonight too. So Nocturne was this other Blumhouse movie we saw that about the two girls, sisters competing at a school, and it just was all over the place and weird. The other one that I'm just putting on the list now because I remembered watching this and giving up on it. Like y'all were saying, you just didn't even see the last half of it. Is Downhill, Will Ferrell, and Julia Louis-Dreyfus, a married couple on a ski vacation, and the avalanche happens, and then Will Ferrell. I mean, that's the premise. It's in the trailer. Avalanche happens, and Will Ferrell doesn't protect his kids and his wife from the avalanche. He just runs screaming. And then, like, the next 40 minutes of it is just almost like real time of everybody just giving them the side eye and stink eye. The whole. I mean, and there was nothing. It wasn't funny, and it was sad. Like, just like, no. So I didn't quite get why this was a movie.
So that makes two
do
for
it.
Will Ferrell this year. This was not his
Yeah,
year.
Brian,
yeah.
I'm curious. Do you know the ratings on it for like Rotten Tomatoes, IMDb?
No, I don't. But yeah, I didn't. It didn't make my list because I didn't fully rate it. But I'm just remembering, it's like, oh, you know what? I didn't even, like, I paused it and didn't even come back to it. Yeah, so I'm gonna retroactively put that one on my list now. So I'll have 3.
I remember I wanted to see that movie. That's disappointing.
Yeah, I wanted to see it. I was looking forward to it, but so if you really like Julia Louis-Dreyfus, I would just recommend just going back and catching up on Veep if you've never seen Veep. So
good idea. All
Did
right,
we do it?
Dr. Brown.
Yes, my bottom 5. Evil Eye. It is horrible. It is bad. It's not worth your time. Vast of Night is vast of nothing. Take Vast of Night, get your remote control and click and move to the next cursor or to the left. The Lie is a lie. The Lie is not in anyone's top 5 anytime soon. The Lie is not good. You see my colleague's face. We are not liking it. The Lie is bad. Birds of Prey, I think a lot of us had that. Harley Quinn Birds of Prey was not good. It had the opportunity to paint the picture of a new character in a different way. It flopped horribly. The Weekend, I think me, Corey, and Brian saw this, and we had a lot to say. And I sat there and I looked at the trailer again. I was like, no wonder. Like this, there's lots of issues. And I think one of the main issues is that it was so convoluted from the start. It started off cringy and continued to go downhill and didn't recover in any sense of the word. I think it was a L-5 walkout, if I have a record. I think it was. That tells you enough. And then honorable mentions, or what Dana said, the Wonder Woman, she hit it on the head with that one. The Intruder, I can't remember if me and Corey, you remember we saw that with Michael Ealy, Megan Good, and I don't remember if that was 2020, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was so bad in that Megan Good acted like this dumb, oh, you can come in my home, intruder, you can kill me, is stupid. It was one of the most just kind of like, why is this a real film? Why is this not an Amazon special? So The Intruder really frustrated me more than anything. So obviously it's on my bottom 5. So
Michael's got a new movie out that looks like it'll frustrate you just as well. I think this is his new genre. What's it called? Where he's in a love affair with
it's called
$1 Million Baby.
It's called Fatale.
Fatale.
With Michael Ealy and Hilary Swank.
And they try to put this pink and blue filter over the trailer to make it better. That don't make your trailer better. That's just a filter.
And a Jodeci song.
The music is the funniest part of this, y'all. It's you gotta watch it. It looks like it's gonna be that bad. I think
the Jodeci song is what killed it.
It's all of it killed it. Like, it was just wrong. It was.
Okay, so that was our top 5 and bottom 5 movies that we had seen for 2020. Please put down in the comments below what's your top 5 or your bottom 5 films that you've seen of 2020 is, or let us know if you liked any of ours. Give us your review. We hope that you enjoyed that podcast, and we hope that we get to see you again next time.